Good morning, my cat learners. Today I am going to talk to you about Paper 1, the practical content. I'm Mrs. van der Walt. I'm the subject advisor for CAT. And today we are going to look at the things that are always asked in a question paper. First of all, if we look at Word, the first thing that you should know is how to create a table of contents. You must know the steps. You must know that you have to go to references. You must know when and how to change the styles. And that all starts with highlighting. The next thing is the styles itself. Here, in the past 2 papers that you wrote during June and September, you saw that in one they asked you to apply a new style, and in the other one they asked you to modify a style. Please make sure that you know what is the difference between these two. Then we come to columns. Columns are always there. So please make sure that you know how to set the spacing and width for the columns. And if they ask you to start a paragraph at the beginning of a next column, then you must please remember that you have to put in a column break. Then word art. You have been doing word art since grade 10. Please make sure that you read your questions very well so that you can see what font you must use and what font size you must use. Then find and replace. This is actually very easy. The shortcut here is F5, or if you prefer, you can use Ctrl+G. Please remember that you must read your questions so that you can see what formatting you must apply in this question. Then page numbering. And Tatu, yeah, I know that you always struggle with this one. You must remember on your ribbon, as soon as you have chosen page numbering, there is an option, a little checkbox that says different first page. Then footnotes versus endnotes. And here you must please remember a footnote, if you put it in a page, the line will appear at the bottom of the page where you are going to have to put in a sentence or a word. But an endnote is exactly what it says. It is at the end. Then we come to something that children really try to ignore, and that is mail merge. Little cats, this is very easy if you use the wizard. Then the forms. Here, please, some schools have deep freeze on their computers. You must please remember that you have to activate the developer tab before you can do any of the form properties. And then the properties here are very important, otherwise you cannot set the width of the checkbox, or you cannot put in drop-down lists or text fields. Then grouping. Now grouping is actually very easy, but in Office 2007 and Office 2010, it is not like you can only click on the picture and then control and then click on the other picture. Because in Office 2007 and Office 2010, you will have to first take it into a text box or even into a PowerPoint slide, where you first group it, then you cut it, and then you paste it. Then we come to Excel. Now Excel is the part of the practical paper that children struggle with, and there's actually no need for that. You must never think that you are not able to do something if you haven't attempted it yet. The first thing is formatting or editing. And here we come to things like merge and center, text wrapping, and then how to align vertically and horizontally in a cell. Read your questions well and look on the ribbon. because everything you need is exactly there. When we come to functions, you must please remember that whenever you see the word total, you must know that it is the sum function. When you see the word number or how many, you must use the count function. But now you must also remember that we have count A and we have count blank. Make sure that you know what is the differences between these count functions. Then whenever you see the word total, plus there is a condition, then you must know that you are now going to have to work with sum if. Then the word number plus a condition, of course that is count if. Then also, and these are things that you forget when they ask you to round, you just want to go to formatting and you want to go and round it there. But it is usually required, especially if you look at your mark allocation, that you use a round function. And here you must please distinguish between the round up and the round down function. Then we come to concatenate. Concatenate is very easy. Again, you have to read the question. Take your pencil and underline to see what it is that they want from you. You must remember here we have upper, left and right. If we have to take different cells and work with that to concatenate those cells. Then the if function. The easiest way to do the if function is to use your fx or function button. Because if you choose that, then you are going to be led to type in whatever cells and references you need. Then we come to Hlookup. Now Hlookup, like Vlookup, works exactly on the same principle. And I'm going to show you this. The Hlookup function works on the same principle as the Vlookup. Remember, Hlookup stands for horizontal lookup, while Vlookup stands for vertical lookup. And the syntax for the Hlookup function is equal Hlookup, and then your first one would be the lookup value, comma, then the table array, comma, then the row index, the number, and then comma and the range lookup. What does all this mean? The lookup value. Let's just get back to the lookup value. The value to search for in the first row of the table array. The table array itself is 2 or more rows of data. The values in the first row of the table array are the values searched for the lookup value. These values can be text, numbers, or logical values. Uppercase and lowercase text are equivalent. Then the column index number, the row number in the table array from which the corresponding value must be returned. A row index number of 2 returns the value in the second column in the table array, while a row index number of 3 returns the value in the third column in the table array. Then the range lookup, it's a logical value that specifies whether you want Hlookup to find an exact match or an approximate match. If set to false, a corresponding value will be returned only if an exact match is found. If set to true, the nearest match will be considered if an exact one is not found. Very important here, the values in the first row of the table array must be placed in ascending sort order. Otherwise, Hlookup may not give you the correct value. Then we come to Vlookup, which is the vertical lookup. And here, just to recap, because this is one that you usually struggle with, the Vlookup function allows you to search a table of data and based on what you as a user has supplied and give. It will return the appropriate information from that specific table. The data must be formatted in columns and each column must be responsible for one type of data. Your cell ranges here, you need to enter 3 different cell ranges. First again, and you see just like the Hlookup, we have a lookup value. The value to be found in a column. Now here usually the first table that you are working with and the Vlookup table that you get, this is the table that is the same in both of these. Then the table array, the table of information in which the data is looked up, and again we get the column index number. That is the numeric position of the column that is being searched. Okay, in other words, if you use your FX button, then this is what is going to be returned to you. And you will have to enter now. You see the lookup value is just a cell. And the table array, and here you see that we have the Vlookup table. In other words, this was in another sheet. And then we have a range. Just watch out here that if you want it to return the exact value, that we also have to include absolute cell referencing here. And the shortcut for that, of course, is F4. Then the column index in this case is 2, and the range lookup is true. It's very important, again, that you read your questions very well to see whether they require a range lookup. Because you will see here that the range lookup is not in bold, so it is not always required. Okay, then just because children usually leave Vlookup out, believe in yourself. Yes, you can do it. Then when we continue, we come to the nested if. Now the nested if is an if function within an if function within an if function. The easiest way to go about doing this is to break up the question. In other words, you write down the different if functions within that question, and then only after you have written all of them down, you start putting them together in the function. Then we come to Access. Access is our database. And here they might ask you to import from an Excel worksheet. But you will always start out with a table. And please remember, if you have to change things, it means I can only change in design view. When I want to see, I go to data sheet view. Here, things that they ask you to change is things like the input masks. And there I said, please remember it must be in design view. And surely there's only one way. You have to go and learn these input masks. The same with the validation rule and text. You have to go and learn how these are constructed. Then we come to queries. The greatest thing in queries that are hampering the cat marks is the calculations. And the calculations are actually very easy if you use the expression builder. Now I'm going to show you the way to find this expression builder. If I go here and I have my here in front of me my stock query, now you can see this is in data sheet view. Can I do anything here, Tatu? That's correct. We cannot change anything in the data sheet view. So we have to switch to design view. And now you see my ribbon has also changed. So now if you go to your ribbon, you see there's the builder. If I, for example, here, I want to now see what would the price be for the liters of water that I have here. What must we do then? Yes, that's correct. You must multiply. Now, the easiest way for you to do that is I first put my cursor where I want this calculation to be done. Then I click on my builder. Then you will see here under the expression categories, I have those fields here. Then I click on water, and you are going to see that I now multiply, and then I click on my price expression, and then I say OK. And then I just make sure that it's still the same table that I'm working from. And then, of course, I mark my checkbox to make sure that it is included in my answer. Then, of course, I can go and run it. And there you will see, although I didn't give a name there to this column, it would have been something like total or total price or whatever is indicated in your question paper. But you will see that it has multiplied those two columns with each other, and we get an answer. So it is really not that difficult. Then when we go on with Access, we also come to the reports. And here also the calculation seems to be the thing that children struggle with. Remember, a calculation is usually done in the report footer, and that is the very last one in the design view, and it means that you have to go and drag it open. You must use then, on your ribbon there, you must use the AB, in other words the text box, and when you click then in that report footer, you will see that they are sometimes interlinked. You just drag them apart. You must just remember the first one of this text box is usually where you put something like number or total. And the second part is called the unbound part. And it is in this part that you must remember it is used just like in Excel. In other words, you must have your equal sign just like in Excel, and then the function like in Excel. In other words, sum, count, whatever is asked from you in the question paper. Also in that, after you have put your function, then you put a bracket, and then you must remember that in these brackets, the name must be typed exactly as the name was in the page header. And then you press enter, and then you go to report view, and then you will see your answer. That is very easy. All I can say now, little cats, good luck for the practical exam, and trust in yourself. Practice these last few days, go through everything, and make sure that you can do all of these things. And then you can just go into the exam room and give it your best. Good luck.